This is Samsung's brand new S-View flip cover case for the Galaxy S22 UItra, and Samsung's done a mostly excellent job on this case. Let's start with the good things, then talk about some of the not so good stuff. The case is made out of a soft touch hard plastic and does feel pretty premium in the hand. The inside of the case is a very soft touch fabric that feels almost like microfiber, and that's there to protect your phone when you put it in the case. And speaking of putting your phone in the case, it does pop in very easily, but then holds in very securely. In terms of protection, the case does wrap around all four sides of the phone. That's not always the case with these cover style cases. A lot of times the top and bottom is left open. Looking at the top of the cover, Samsung did add a slit here for the speaker, so you can take calls with the case closed. Taking a look at the back, the cameras are well protected. There's a decent sized space between the back of the case and when the camera glass actually starts, so if you drop the phone on its back, the cameras are going to be perfectly fine. The cutout for the USB-C connector is rather large, which is great for getting basically any type of USB-C cable plugged in there. The only type of cable that might be a little bit difficult to get in there is a right angle cable, because that'll probably hit the bottom part of the case. The S Pen cutout is where we get to our first issue. It's probably going to be fine for most people to get this out. You can pretty easily get your finger in there to pop the S Pen button out, but you certainly wouldn't be able to grab this with your fingers. You do need to use one of your nails to get underneath it and pull it out. I cut my fingernails recently and I can still get this out pretty easily, but if you're someone who has somewhat recessed fingernails, or you have very large fingers, this might be pretty difficult to get out. The buttons are very tactile and easy to press, which can't be said about all cases, so I'm glad to see that Samsung got it right with this one. The cover itself does have the sleep wake feature built into it, but it's not held on magnetically. If I were to just tip this, the cover would fall off, but the cover stays down and flat perfectly fine as long as I don't tip the phone over. This window here is your S-View window, and this is where you're going to see all of your information while the case is closed. One important thing to point out about this window is it's actually just a hole. You can put your finger right through there. Previous generations had a plastic covering here, and that would help protect your phone screen a bit more. However, Samsung certainly did the right thing by making this a cutout, because if you flip this all the way over, that cutout lines up perfectly with the cameras on the back. So that means you can fold the case open and still take great pictures. The one missed opportunity with this is that there's no credit card support, and there's plenty of room here to have added one, so I'm not sure why Samsung didn't include that. Wireless charging is supported, and you get the battery percentage and estimated time until the battery is charged in your S-View window. And in case you're wondering, wireless power share also works. And I'm sure someone would be curious about this. If you take the S Pen out, you cannot write in this area, which kind of makes sense. This is a super small area to try to take a note in. But if you did take the S Pen out when the cover was closed, then open the cover, it does let you get into your screen off memo. And if you get interrupted while writing this memo and you close your screen, then open it back up a minute later, you'll still be able to get right back into the memo. The only time this memo is going to disappear is either when you tap save up here or put the S Pen back in the silo to make it save. To see information in the S-View window, you can press your power button. That'll bring up your time and the date, as well as the battery percentage. If you have the double tap to wake feature turned on, that does work with the S-View screen. Just double tap and it'll bring up your clock. Speaking of the clock, if you long press it, you'll bring up a menu where you can customize what your clock looks like. There are currently 11 different clock styles to pick from, and you can customize those further by scrolling all the way to the end and tapping cover screen settings. Now, just open up the cover, unlock your phone, and that'll take you right into the cover screen settings where you can customize all of these clock faces. Customizations include everything from selecting a different character that shows up every time you turn the screen on, to the color of the time and date. If there are multiple characters to pick from, you can tap shuffle in the upper left corner, and it'll reveal a different character every time you turn the screen on. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like, it's something like this. This little blob guy just kind of jumps around and looks at the clock for a second, and if I turn it off and then back on again, instead, this little carrot guy is going to pop up. There are also these little animal options. So you've got a bunny, a little tiger, a monkey, and I think this is some type of a lamb or sheep or ram, something like that. Let me know in the comments below what you think that is. And you can also interact with some of these clock faces as well by tapping on them. If you swipe to the right from the cover screen, you'll get music and video controls that let you either play, pause your music, skip to the next track, or skip back a track. If you press up or down on the volume keys, you unfortunately don't get any volume notification on this little screen. If you tap the artist, it'll tell you to open the phone to continue. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the phone and unlock it. And it'll take me right to the music or video. And side note, I recently heard this song for the first time, and in a time when people are going through a lot of hardships and struggles, this is a really good song to help lift you up. The S-View display also supports the always on display. To enable it, all you have to do is pull down your notification shade to reveal all of your quick toggles, swipe over until you find always on display and enable it. Then you can tap the always on display text and choose whether you want to have to tap the screen to show it or to have it show always. And for a screen like this, it makes sense to have it just show always, so that's what I have mine set to. Then tap done, close your screen, and when it turns off, the always on display will turn on. And the always on display changes depending on which clock face you have. So if I switch back to these large numbers, then went back to the always on display, I'd get those large numbers again, just a bit more dim. So that wraps up all the independent functionality you get with the S-View screen. Now let's talk about what you can do when notifications come in. You get the option to snooze or dismiss things like alarms and calendar appointments, and if you tap the appointment, then open your cover screen and unlock your device, it'll take you right to that appointment in your calendar. When a timer expires, you can dismiss it or restart it, but the stopwatch won't show anything in your window. You'll have to open the cover screen to see that. If you get a call, you'll be able to see who's calling and either answer or reject the call. Any other notifications show up as an orange dot in the upper left corner, and you can't interact with that at all. You can't pull it down, you can't move it around, you can't tap it to reveal something. You do have to open up the cover to see what the notification was. And I must say, it is pretty disappointing that you don't get more details, at least from messages on this screen, because this screen is larger than the screen that you get on the Galaxy Watch, and you can get a ton of information on that little screen. So I'm not sure why Samsung didn't implement what they've already done on the Galaxy Watch on this little screen here. Maybe that'll come in a future update, but I'm not going to hold my breath for it. For now, it's just a missed opportunity that we can hope for on the next version of this. So at the end of the day, can I recommend this case? The answer is yes. If you're the type of person who loves flip cover cases, it doesn't get much better than this one for the Galaxy S22 UItra. You get loads of protection while still being able to see quick details at a glance. And while there were a couple things that could use improvement, they are by no means deal breakers. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to pick one up for yourself. And if you're curious about how Samsung's Smart LED View cover stacks up against this case, or you want to see my favorite slim yet protective cases for the S22 UItra, be sure to subscribe and turn notifications because those videos are coming up next. That's it for this tech episode. God bless, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.